We'll break down our conflict with Iran. Is it over? Can it ever be over? With National Security Analyst Brigitte Gabriel on this episode of United Patriots Uprising with Gary Binford. I'm your host, Gary Binford. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find the video version at YouTube, Rumble, the God Family and Country Television Network, the Rose Unplugged Media Network, vachristian.org, the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com, yournews.com, OBBM Network TV, WeSeeYouMedia.com, and Conservative Television of America. Wherever you go, please click the notification button, subscribe, leave us a rating and a review. We would love to hear your thoughts about the broadcast. Now, there's an audio version from when the show was audio a few years ago. You can find the old audios back at radioinfluence.com/category/United Patriots Uprising/ There you will find some incredible guests, the likes of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, Ben Carson, Monica Crowley, Diamond and Silk, Pastor Jack Hibbs, Charlie Kirk, Kerry Lake, Mike Lindell, Judge Janine Pirro, Kevin Sorbo, Dr. Carol Swain. There are well over 100 guests that were on the show when it was audio, and what they said then is just as valid today for the most part. We've been highlighting a website that carries this podcast on each episode. And today we're going to talk about GFC TV Network, which stands for the God Family and Country Television Network, which is one of the premier television networks on the OTTU Media Hub, which is over the top universal media. GFC TV stays up to date with accurate and unbiased broadcasting from reliable sources. It's a conservative-based television network that features the unsounded voices needed to be heard. So I want to thank Cleveland Rose, the co-founder, president, and CTO of Internet Media Providers, for carrying my podcast. GFC TV broadcasts live, scheduled streaming each week, 24/7. So once again, thank you for airing my show. As most of you know, James Brown was my guy, the hardest working man in show business. Well, my guest is unquestionably the most passionate person I know. This is Brigitte's fourth appearance on my show, and her passion just blows out like somebody just took a fire hydrant and just popped it open, and it doesn't just ooze out. It just pow, just explodes. And there's a reason for it. On her third appearance, which was back in July of 2024, and I encourage you to go check it out, this is something she said, quote, "My 9/11 happened to me in 1975 in Lebanon when radical Islamic terrorists blew up my home, bringing it down, burying me under the rubble, wounded. I ended up in a hospital for 2.5 months, then later ended up living in a bomb shelter underground, without electricity, without water, and very little food. That's where I lived from the age of 10 to the age of 17 with my family. We lost everything. By the time I was 20, I had lost most of my friends. I only had 4 male friends alive from my high school. I understand what happens when you turn a blind eye to evil. I ended up moving to Israel, meeting an American worker respondent, getting married, and that's how I ended up in America, by marriage. And I thought when I came to America, I left all the crazies behind. 9/11, 2001 made me realize that the crazies I thought I left behind are now in the United States. And that's what started my activism. And this is why I love talking to her, because not only is she passionate, but she's enlightened, she's edified, and boy, does she have a lot to say. So, are you ready to get into it? Well, let's do it. She's a leading commentator on politics, culture, and national security. She's a lecturer, nationally and internationally, and she's a regular guest analyst on Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and many American and worldwide media outlets. Of particular importance to this show, she's the founder and chairman of actforamerica.org, the largest national security grassroots organization in the U.S. with over 3 million members. I welcome back to the show the renowned national security analyst and author of the New York Times best-selling book, Rise, Brigitte Gabriel. Hi, Brigitte. How are you?
Thank you, my friend. I am so delighted to be back with you.
I am so delighted to have you back, Brigitte. This is your fourth time. And when things are bubbling up like this, you are the only person I really want to talk to because I know you lived it. So let's just cut right to the trace. What's up with Iran? Is it over? And can it ever be over?
It will never be over. It is contained right now. And thank God we have President Trump in office at such a time as this. The world has been asleep. Israel has been warning the world about Iran since 2003. In 2003, Israel sent the first delegation to notify world leaders about the threat of Iran building a nuclear power, a nuclear project, and weaponizing it for war, not for building energy. Nobody wanted to listen to Israel. Obama and Biden appeased Iran. Obama sent them pallets of cash in the middle of the night, landing on a tarmac, basically using our tax dollars to symbolically contribute to their nuclear program. Biden did the same thing, released all the sanctions that President Trump had put on them in President Trump's first administration. And now, finally, we had to get to 1 minute from midnight for us to take action. And thank God we had President Trump at the helm to take the action. Now, this definitely set Iran years back. We're waiting to see the full report. Hopefully, we believe it got completely destroyed because there is no way you can survive the bombs that were dropped. I think 14 bombs were dropped, 30,000 bombs into Granite Mountain to destroy their nuclear project. So I don't think anything is left down there. But even if there is anything left, it's going to take them years to be able to come back and build anything. And hopefully, by that time, the Iranian people would have risen, overthrew the regime, and brought about regime change. But at this point, the situation with Iran is contained. Israel is not going to be wiped off the map. And now we move to the next stage in hoping and working with the Iranian dissidents and the Iranian people to rise up against the regime.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that synopsis. Now, before I ask you about the Iranian people and what they want, do you have a concern that China and or Russia may try and slip Iran something either under the table or on the down low to kind of try and prop it up again?
Well, look, at this point, China and Russia let Iran out to dry because they did not get involved in the war. You know very well that when Israel was bombarding the missile launchers, all these long-range missiles that the Iranians have, the Iranians reached out probably to the Russians and to the Chinese and said, hey, can you help us out? We didn't see neither Russia nor China come to Iran's aid. We did not see North Korea come to Iran's aid. We did not see any of the Iran proxy armies that Iran invested billions of dollars in building. Hezbollah in Lebanon, who still has missiles, did not get involved in the war. The Houthis did not get involved. The Shiite militias in Iraq did not get involved. And so Iran was left out to dry. They know they are by themselves. They know the world did not come to their aid. And I think the Iranians are right now recalculating what does our friendship with the Chinese and the Russians and everybody else means, and can we count on them again? So a lot of calculations are going on the minds and reevaluation on the part of the Chinese, the Russians, as well as the Iranians.
Right. And is that only and solely because of one person, Donald J. Trump? That it was almost like everybody said to Iran, sorry, bro, we're with you, but every man for himself right here. You're going to have to, we don't want to deal with the cowboy. So you're going to have to go this on your own, because I don't think this would have gone down this way if Kamala Harris or Joe Biden had been in the presidency.
Oh, absolutely not. Look, Joe Biden was senile. We know he was not making decisions. Excuse me. We know she's a dimbat. She's not making decisions. So whoever was running the country for the last 4 years was making the decision. And whoever was running the country in the last 4 years saw no problem in lifting the sanctions off of Iran's ankles. This is what gave Iran the power and get flushed back with cash to fund their terror practice across the globe. Look, when President Trump was in office in his last administration, Iran was on the brink of collapse. The sanctions worked so well that Iran cut off the funding to Hezbollah in Lebanon, to the point where Hezbollah cut the salaries of their top leaders by half because they were running out of cash. This is where President Trump had Iran. When Biden came to power, when they stole the election and they propped up the Biden regime, the people who are running the country behind the scenes unleashed all the sanctions, unleashed the cash on Iran, which gave Iran the money back to continue building their nuclear reactor, which the Democrats saw no problem with. I mean, look at the article that Blinken wrote in the New York Times today, basically saying, well, Iran wasn't really that close to building a nuclear reactor. This attack was not necessary. And this guy what was in charge of our foreign policy for the last 4 years, and he's Jewish. This is the mind-boggling thing. But look, this is what this is the path that progressive led us to. And when President Trump came back, the rest of the world knew, you don't mess with Trump. If Trump draws a red line, you don't cross it. This is a man of his word. And he proved it. And believe me, the Chinese are watching. The Russians are watching. The North Koreans are watching. China would never dare attack Taiwan right now. Definitely not in the next 3 years, because they knew there was a new sheriff in town. And if anybody steps out of line, America's power is going to be unleashed on them. And it's going to set the world back straight until at least in the next 3 years.
Yes. Brigitte, are you acquainted with the video game called Donkey Kong?
No.
Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was a game I used to play back in the 70s and 80s. This is little gorillas, and it's a video game that used to be in arcades. And the saying was, how low can you go? How low can you go? And I thought there were certain limits the Democrats could go to. But does it boggle your mind that after our president just averted a war, their response is, let's impeach him again?
Exactly. Their hatred of President Trump. Talk about the Trump derangement syndrome, which is so real. These people would much rather destroy our country, ruin our relationships with our ally, sacrifice the American people. They are belittling the Air Force pilots and our bombers who dropped the bombs. Instead of praising them, saying, job well done, they're saying, well, the bombs didn't really work well. They didn't really do anything good. And, and it was such a botched operation that we're going to impeach President Trump for issuing the order. This is showing the rest of the country how low the Democrat can go. There is no low as to how low they can go. You are absolutely correct. And the rest of the country is finding out exactly where the Democrats stand. And you know what, Gary? Let them keep doing it. Let them keep doing it, because this is guaranteeing us victory in the midterm election. This is guaranteeing that the independents who moved to the Republican side, the left who moved to the Republican side and voted for President Trump, are going to continue to stay in our camps, because they realize the Democrat Party is now the enemy party of the country. They are the treasonous party who would much rather destroy our president, destroy and endanger our national security, sacrifice the lives of Americans because of their hatred of President Trump. But there is silver lining. I am so glad to see that there's enough Democrats in the House yesterday who had enough decency to actually vote with the Republicans and say, no, we're not going to. This is crazy talk. Even Nancy Pelosi yesterday, I watched an interview with her, and she said, they're going in the wrong direction. This is not something that we need to impeach them on. And so we continue fighting. This is another remark, Gary, as to why we on the right cannot sit on our hands and say, oh, President Trump won the election. We have nothing to worry about right now. I don't need to get involved until the midterm, until 3 months before the midterm. That's when Republicans wake up and say, oh my gosh, we've got to get involved. We've got to volunteer. I've got to become engaged again. No. This is the time to continue being engaged. This is the time to continue being informed. This is the time to continue joining and volunteering with your local conservative party, your local Republican Party, Tea Party, whatever party, Act for America, Moms for America, whatever it is. Now is the time to continue being engaged. And I want to make something very important here, Gary. I want to say something important. We, Act for America, my organization, we are working now with President Trump and his administration and Congress to codify all the executive bills President Trump signed when he came into office, to make sure we turn them into law before the next midterm election. We're not guaranteed we're going to win the House. We're already standing on a cliff. We want to make sure that these incredible executive orders that he signed to secure the country, to reverse the damage that the Biden administration did to the country, we want to make sure they are signed into law. They are codified into law, that it doesn't matter whether we win the House or lose the House. It doesn't matter whether President Trump gets reelected. He's not going to get reelected. Whether Republicans win the presidency again or not, we want to make sure that these are cemented into law to secure the nation. And we want people to go to actforamerica.org right now. Sign up to get our emails and action alerts. Because as we introduce these bills and they are coming down the pipeline, we want to make sure we can reach you, so we can notify you about the bill coming down for a vote, so you can call your member of Congress, so you can email your member of Congress and let them know to vote yes on these bills, and that you are monitoring their vote, and that you will vote accordingly in the midterm election. And if you are not on our emailing list, if we do not know where you are, how are we going to be able to reach you to take action to make sure we pass these bills? This is now the time is not just about information. This is a time about action. And being informed without taking action means nothing. The left takes action, and that's why they get things done. And now it's our time to take action to make sure President Trump's agenda gets enforced and gets done. Go to actforamerica.org right now. Sign up to get our emails and action alerts. Sign up to become a member. Join us as a member, so together we can make a difference for the country.
Do you think people are catching on, really, that people are really starting to see these people are, it's not just anti-Trump, but if Trump is pushing an America first, a Judeo-Christian, God, family, and country agenda, that these people are going against everything the founding fathers put in the Constitution to keep us free from tyranny?
They are trying to change the country. Obama wanted to transform America, and he succeeded. Look at where we are today. Compare, to 2008 when he got elected. And people were asleep. Our idea of activism, and this is something so important, Gary, that I want to emphasize. The left hates Trump so much. I saw a meme yesterday that says, if President Trump saved the baby thrown in the ocean that was about to be eaten by shark, the left would scream, Trump is starving the sharks. And so this is how much they hate him, that no matter what he does, if he tried to save a baby from a shark's mouth, they're going to say he's starving the sharks. And so this is where we are as a country. And let me tell you the difference between Democrats and Republicans. The Republicans, you ask any Republicans, are you engaged? Are you really engaged? Are you involved? Are you active? And they say, oh, yes, Brigitte, I am very engaged. I listen to talk radio. I watch Fox News and Newsmax. I attend every conference I can. I attend CPAC. I attend Turning Point. I attend the Conservative Summit. You name it, whatever big conference on the right. And they all show up, to the Republican Party luncheon once a month. They hear a great speaker. Everybody dresses good. They socialize. And at the end of the meeting, everybody pats themselves on the back. Oh my gosh, wasn't that a great meeting? That was a great speaker. They eat the rubber chicken. They go home. And 7 days later, they have no idea what to do. Meanwhile, the Democrats are so organized and activated, they are mapping their neighborhoods. They don't care about needing to learn, read a white paper, 80-page long, listen to 3-hour talk radio about this issue. They could care less. They say, I hate Trump so much. Let me know what I need to do to just throw him out. That's all I need to know. So you stop a 22-year-old nitwit and tell him, are you engaged? Why are you a socialist? They can't even tell you why they are a socialist. They cannot define socialism for you. But by golly, are they engaged? They show up to city council meeting. They show up to school board meetings. They map their community. They organize get-togethers. We don't do this on our side. And so this is where we at Act for America started thinking, okay, how can we engage our people? Because as you can see, a lot of things happen in between elections. For example, we have the big, beautiful bill coming down for a vote, and they are hoping to be able to vote on it and pass it by 4th of July. Most Americans are learning about what's in the bill. The Democrats are calling their elected officials. They're lobbying their elected officials. They are tweeting at their elected officials. They're posting social media posts on Facebook, tagging their elected officials. They are engaged, putting pressure, lighting a fire under their elected officials. I want our members who are watching me right now to be honest when you listen to this interview. How many phone calls have you made to your elected official this week about the big, beautiful bill? You know the answer to that. And it's shameful. Shameful. And so that's why we need to be engaged, and that's why we need to be active to make a difference for the country. It's not enough to vote every 2 years. You've got to be calling your elected officials right now about the big, beautiful bill coming down for a vote and let them know to vote for it. This is our only chance to enforce President Trump's agenda. We will be sending more information about that, Gary, by the way. We're going to be putting it on our social media as well as on our website, detailing how much money you're going to get back if this bill passes. You as an individual, how much money you're going to make in overtime, how much extra that's going to add to your pocket. As a family of 4, $5,000 into your pocket. Can you use $5,000 extra a year? Can you right now take $5,000 and take your family on vacation or pay off whatever debt or credit card you have extended when you were paying $10 for a carton of eggs, for a dozen eggs? So we're going to be detailing, we're going to be putting out a video detailing what you're going to get back financially if this bill passes. And I think everybody needs to see that.
Yes, indeed. And people, please understand, it's not a perfect bill, but this is right. Not the time to be rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We right. have a crisis here. We've got to stop this bleeding. And I understand we've kicked the can down the road, and the debt ceiling's gone up. Look, we've got to do this. We've got to do this and get this done now, and then start working backwards to get rid of all the things that we need to get rid of that the Biden administration saddled us with for the last 4 years. I'm afraid to ask you this, Brigitte, but this is the biggest thing to me that I see. When you came to this country, you came with a story and you understood terror because you lived it. And praise God, you survived it. If people had listened to people like you, we wouldn't be in this position now. But having God taken out of the workplace, the government, and the schools for more than 50 years now, and having no Judeo-Christian conscience, most people, way too many, don't even understand why we support Israel. They don't understand why terrorists call us the big Satan and Israel the little Satan. They don't understand, well, why can't you give them the land? They don't understand what this fight is about. And they're like, you guys, we should stay out of it. Why are we helping them? This is what scares me. And this is even in Christian churches. People don't really know what this is about. Is that a major concern?
That is a major concern, because let's put Israel aside, because, Gary, you brought up a good point. How is this going to help me? Why are we getting involved? What is it? Why is bombing Iran going to benefit me? What is it going to do to me? People understand that we are the great Satan. Israel is merely the little Satan. We are the bullseye. And most people have not been following the news, have not paid attention. They don't realize that Iran is interested in attacking the United States by creating an electromagnetic pulse attack against the United States. Iran has been working on this for years, to the point that the Congress had a commission called the EMP Commission. I was a keynote speaker at the Congressional Commission Conference in 2009, which was held in Niagara Falls in 2009, 15 years ago. And we had all the big heads of the electric companies in the United States there. Members of Congress were there. The EMP Commission members were there. And here's what America was concerned about. Iran was trying to develop, because of their nuclear program, how to put a nuclear head on a ballistic missile and shoot it at the United States to paralyze America. And so this is why the former president of Iran, President Ahmadinejad at the time, attended in 2006 and in 2007 the North Korean missile launch test. Now, everybody laughed in America. Oh, the missile just exploded in the middle of the air. It didn't really go anywhere. What they were trying to test is putting a nuclear head on top of that missile, launching it from anywhere in the seas, whatever sea, whatever ocean, and from one of those ships that the Bin Laden family owned, launching it to be detonated 500 kilometers above the United States. If they would have done that, let's say over Wichita, Kansas, that explosion would have interacted with Earth's surface, creating an electromagnetic pulse attack, EMP, which would have sent America back to the 14th century. We would have no electricity. Your alarm, you would wake up in the morning, your alarm didn't go off. You go, oh my goodness, I'm late to work. You try to hop in the shower, the water's not running. You say, okay, forget it. I'm just going to hop in my car. You throw your clothes on, you run to your car, you try to turn your car on. Your car didn't turn on because right now everything is, ignites, electronically, and all electronics will be fried. And so you figure out, what is going on today? People are not going to wake up and realize what happened for 24 to 48 hours. And then the rush to grocery stores to buy food. Once grocery store foods runs out, there's not going to be any way to bring food from the warehouses to the grocery stores because trucks don't work. Remember, no cars are going to work unless you have a car from the 1960s that still operated, the old-fashioned way. Because food would rot in the stores, we will not have any utilities. Can you imagine if you're on diabetes and you need diabetes medicine, or you are on dialysis? You will die. The EMP Commission report said that they estimate 90% of Americans will die within the first year because Americans will kill each other. They do not know how to survive. And this was the Congressional Commission report that came out in 2009. How many Americans know this? Americans have become such a dumb society that they get their news from Comedy Central, TikTok, Instagram. We have such a short attention span, and we have been run by a bunch of Democrats who, one, do not understand the threat. Two, they underestimate the threat. That's why they didn't think Iran was developing nuclear power. So this is what Americans were concerned about. This is why we are concerned about what Iran is doing. Forget Israel. Let's remove Israel completely. Even if you don't give a flying kite about Israel, this has nothing to do with Israel. I am talking about the threat to the United States of America right now. You bring it down to this level, Gary, and you tell people, if you panic when they announce a hurricane is coming to hit the East Coast or whatever, and everybody runs to the grocery stores and they run out of food and everybody goes into panic. And that's just because of a hurricane. can you imagine the whole country being sent back to the Stone Age? What will happen to Americans? That's why you should care about what President Trump did.
Right. And, you have two angles. You have the secular angle, but I come from the biblical angle. And this is why, to me, the removal of Judeo-Christian and the Bible from our society has created, a populace of people that have no idea what happened and where this Genesis started. This Genesis started biblically. This Genesis started with Abraham when God told him, I will create a people through you and your wife, who was in her 90s at the time, who was barren, and you will have a son, and from that son will come my people. And what Abraham did, he ended up, instead of waiting for God, he ended up having relations with a maidservant named Hagar. And it produced a son named Ishmael. And Ishmael, eventually they realized there's a problem here. And God said, I told you your wife, Sarah. And that son came. The son's name was Isaac. And from Isaac comes the line of Jesus Christ. From Ishmael comes the line of Muhammad. And the problem we have right here now is, as you would call it, radical Islam, is aligned against Judeo-Christian values and anything having to do with Jesus and having to do with this United States and its constitution formulated under that particular God in Israel, who God made a covenant with, that still stands. And this is why the Middle East has problems with Israel. And this is why the Middle East has problems with us. And this is why this conflict among the radicals can never be solved. Would you agree with me?
I agree. And Gary, it's not just the Middle East have a problem with us and in Israel. The Middle East, where Islam was exported out of, had a problem with the rest of the world. How do you think Islam, when it spread out of Arabia? Yeah, and here's a little quick history lesson. When Muhammad got his message from the supposedly prophet Gabriel, that used to be the angel Gabriel, that used to be the
Who
last of the
allegedly
prophets.
squeezed the sin out of his heart. Right.
That's right. And so he tried to preach his message to his own people in Mecca, and nobody wanted to believe him. And after 12 years, he said, okay, forget it. No, nobody's, coming other than his immediate family members to Islam. He said, okay, I'm going to go preach in Medina where the Jews lived, and I'm going to take my religion to them. That's why he started copying a lot from the Old Testament. This is why you see a lot of similarities between the Muslims and the Jews. Muslims pray a few times a day, Jews pray a few times a day. Jews don't eat pigs, Muslims don't eat pigs. Jews fast on Yom Kippur, Muslims fast on Ramadan, etc., etc. So he packaged his religion and he went to Medina to recruit the Jews. The Jews said, no, thank you. We are happy with our religion. We do not want to, become Muslims. That's when Muhammad turned against them. And that's where all the latter verses in the Quran came and wiped all the first peaceful verses, because that's when he declared that the Jews are cursed people. He called them najis. The Christians are the kuffar. And Islam went after the Christians and the Jews, starting in the Middle East, killing them all, massacring them,
Submit or
expelling
die.
them.
Yes, submit
Exactly.
or die.
And then it spread out of the Middle East into Europe. It spread all the way to China. It spread to India. How do you think Islam ended up in China? What, this beautiful, through the breeze, kind of lifted it into China? It was spread by the sword. You either convert to Islam or you die. The only reason Christians and Jews were allowed to stay alive is if they paid the jizya or the protection tax and they lived as dhimmi or second-class citizens under Islam. It wasn't until the liberation in Vienna on 9/11, that's why Osama bin Laden chose the date 9/11, because that's when Christian Europe stood up and said no more. And that's when they resisted Islam and they started liberating Europe, and they started liberating and recapturing lands that was previously conquered, like Spain, etc., and changing the names back. But this is Islam's war with the rest of the non-Muslim world, because Prophet Muhammad divided the world into two: Dar al-Islam, the house of Islam, and Dar al-Harb, the house of war, meaning any land that is not yet conquered by Islam. So We are fighting a spiritual battle between the forces of evil who want to destroy the forces of goodness. This is where we are. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, most people are blind. Most people have moved away from God. Most people have never read the Bible. They don't even understand what the Bible says. We have raised a generation so far away from God. Once we took the 10 Commandments out of the schools, that's when our whole society started falling apart. Even if you're an atheist, what's wrong with teaching kids not to lie? Thou shalt not lie. Don't you want your kids to be good kids, not to lie to you? I think, even if you are a lefty, crazy, atheist parent, you would want your kid to tell you the truth if they're doing something. As a parent, you would want to know. But we took God out of our school, we took God out of our society, and we shamed people who even acknowledged a higher deity or a God or a creator of heaven and earth. Like, oh, you're crazy, you're dreaming, whatever. That's how we ended up where we are as a society.
Brigitte, as always, it's been wonderful having you on. I have one more question, and then please tell people about actforamerica.org and where they can reach you and get involved in your organization. My final question is, one thing that people need to know about what just happened with Iran that they need to take into their circle of influence to help inform people what's going on, because very few people really know what this is about.
Exactly. What I shared about the EMP attack and the threat from Iran to the United States, I think that's such an important bit of information, because if people know why, it will help them understand why our president took the action that he took. And so I encourage people to listen to what I just shared in the previous segment and share it with their friend and circulate this program, and share it far and wide as much as you can, because people need to understand why we make the decisions that we make, why we are willing to invest billions of dollars in dropping these very expensive bombs and sending our very expensive planes to take care of a nuclear reactor. It's important for people to get the right information from the right sources. You need to pay attention to what's going on around you. We can no longer go back to La La Land and say, oh, I don't care, because the stakes are so much higher right now than they were 200 years ago. Because right now we've got evil people developing nuclear weapons. And so we need to be informed as to why we need to stop them. And also, we need to be informed about what is coming down the pipeline, bills wise, to stand with President Trump and enforce his agenda. I know all of you got excited about President Trump signing all these executive orders. Oh my gosh, this is fixed, that border is shut, this is that. Remember, it's a signature on paper that would be wiped as soon as another president comes in, unless it is codified into law. That's why this is so important. I cannot emphasize that even more. I'll give you a perfect example. When President Trump was building the wall in his first administration, he was only 2 weeks away from completion. When Biden came in, he changed everything with the strike of a pen. This is why it's important right now to codify all these executive orders. We need you on our side. Go to actforamerica.org right now, my organization, so you can be informed when these bills are coming down for a vote. And we're going to have tons of bills coming down for a vote. We need to be able to reach you when there's a vote coming down in your state, in your community, whether on the state level or the national level, because I know we've got people now watching from all over the country on the internet. We want to be able to reach you so you can message your elected officials. The stakes cannot be any more higher than they are right now. And President Trump needs our help. He cannot do it alone. And talk radio does not help push his agenda. What helps push his agenda is engaged grassroots. That's the only thing that makes things happen. Go to actforamerica.org right now. If my message resonates with you, if my passion resonates with you, if you feel the same way I feel about the issues that I discussed, go to actforamerica.org right now and sign up and join us so you can get our information and you can stand with us in helping President Trump.
Thank you for letting them know how to reach actforamerica.org. But what about personally reaching you? How can they reach you if they want to contact you on social media?
They can reach me through all our social media platforms. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, X. I need to get used to calling it X. But we are on all social media platforms, and all these icons are on our website, actfor.org. You can reach me personally by dropping an email at info@actforamerica.org. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to your engagement. So together we can make a difference for America.
Brigitte, thanks for coming back. You know, I meant it when I said you're not only are you the most passionate person I know, you're also as courageous as anybody I know. And I love you. I thank you. God bless you for who you are and what you do. Keep up this great fight. You have his protection, and you have been a voice of truth, a voice of reason, and a voice of enlightenment for a long time, and I am so blessed to know you. So thank you for coming back.
Thank you, my friend. I'm delighted to be back with you, and I look forward to next time.
Till the next time, God bless you and your family.
God bless you.
There you have it, everybody. Brigitte Gabriel. I want to thank Brigitte Gabriel for coming back. This was her fourth appearance, and letting us know what we just went through, why we went through it, and why we will continue to go through this type of crisis with radical Islam, radical Muslims, and why they do this and why it won't stop. It's important for you to understand that, America, so you'll understand this is about managing it. And it's about understanding that this is a spiritual battle and that we have to stay under the protection of God to even continue to exist, because we are dealing with factions who believe through their religion, which really is a political system, but they want to call it a religious system. Their intent is to blow us off the face of the earth, along with Israel. Not going to happen, because the Bible won't let it. Now, you may not understand that, and you may not know that, but you do need to. So I thank Brigitte for coming back and letting us know what we just went through, why President Trump was the man, the perfect man for this time to have the perfect solution to keep us safe. And I pray will continue to do so, because I truly believe God has given him to us for this very time and for this very reason. So Brigitte, thank you for coming back on. Thank you for who you are, what you do. Keep up the courage, the good fight, and stay under the protection of the Almighty God. Well, that's it for now, everyone. This is your host, Gary Binford, saying until the next time, God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless America.